cigarettes are killing me. The whiskey's doing the same. Try to look like every...
All good to go. Jemma Pemberton, Chelmsford Chieftain's physio. How you doing this evening?
Hey, good, very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really, really well. A lot better than you. I think you've injured yourself again, haven't you?
Don't jinx it. Touch wood. Hopefully not.
We're going to wait for the professional outcome.
Wait for the scans, yeah.
So, you've not long been back from an injury where you were being rehabbed by Liam Chong.
Yeah. Actually, a year ago today, I fractured my ankle for the first time. As you guys all probably saw me in a boot end of last season.
Yeah.
Running on the
Shuffling
ice.
across the ice.
Wasn't great. And then I actually refractured it back in September. Can't remember I started the season in a boot. I think I did. I'm not sure. So I got back from that, and then hopefully I'm all right, but find out next week.
We'll have to wait and see. So kind of like it's like a doctor getting sick, isn't it? Physio's getting injured. It's
yeah. I was always injured as a kid, as a young athlete and stuff. So I think that's why I became a physio, because I just had every injury going. So I kind of knew what to do.
Yeah, I was going to ask actually, so what got you into it? Because it normally is either there's some sort of medical experience already in the family, or as a young athlete you have lots of injuries and then you want to figure out how to stop having them.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was always injured, and playing various sports and stuff. And then I remember going to see physios, and I kind of was like, I could probably do this as a career because I know the whole process. I know how it all works. And I kind of wanted to be that person for a young athlete that couldn't either afford a really expensive physio or doctors. And so that's kind of how I got into it, really.
So are you cheaper than Trongy then?
Maybe. He's a lot better than I am, so he can charge me.
Oh, so do you do personal training as well, or is it just physio and rehabilitation? Because I believe you've got quite a few qualifications.
Yeah, so I'm a strength and conditioning coach as well. Even though the boys don't do anything I tell them to do. Trying to do warm-ups this year was just a disaster. And trying to write them gym programs, I think about one or two of the guys will actually follow it. It wasn't always me. Like, they're such good players, but they're so unfit. It's unbelievable. But yeah, no, I do S&C on the side, but I work with a few teams. So I do a bit of S&C, which is quite good fun.
Because is there a lot of your involvement in rugby?
Yeah, a little bit. That's mainly like physio stuff. I work with Saracens at their academy. Mm-hmm. I used to work for Chelmsford Rugby and Southend. That was like a placement when I was a student. But then me actually playing kind of took over and clashed. So I think when I was spending my time with Chieftains, I'd rather play rugby and then do ice hockey. But I kind of cover festivals and academy selection days and stuff. So
yeah,
that's my involvement with rugby.
How did it come around, your involvement with the Chieftains?
So it's a funny story, actually.
We love them here. We love them.
So I was a student second year, and I used to work in Secret Garden Cafe with Tom Wilson. He was the chef, and I was just a waitress. And obviously he knew that I was studying to be a sport therapist. And I think Will Polston had put in the group chat and said, does anyone know someone who can look at my back? And Tom recommended me. So Will Polston rang me up and was like, can I come and see you for an appointment? We just got chatting. He was like, well, we need a physio for Chieftains. Do you want to do it? I was like, yeah, go on then. And this was the season that Clemmer was coach.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a team in Chelmsford. I knew nothing about it. I remember, it's quite embarrassing actually, I went to watch a game, like the game before I started. And so obviously sport, I've been involved in rugby and whatever. So it's just two halves. So I got up to my second period. Oh, it's a really good game. Thinking the game was done. Not knowing if there was a third period. He was like, yeah, there's another period to go. And I was like, oh shit. Really, yeah. Embarrassing. But no, yeah, and then got involved in them and not looked back since, really.
No, yes. How long is that now? Has that been, 6, 7 years?
This is my fifth season.
Trying to do maths in my head. Obviously, the COVID year just.
So we had Clemmer, and then is it 2 or 3 years with Joe? 3 years with Joe.
Yeah.
And then Mark.
I'm trying to look it up here. Yeah.
Done my fifth season, so yeah.
And I take it you'll be back with us with Lewis next season?
Yes, I will be.
Excellent.
Yeah, so the plan was to have a time, like, not be there as often this year because my rugby playing was meant to be a little bit more priority, but as I wasn't playing, I was like, yeah, I've got to cover it. So hopefully if I can play next season, there I won't be there as often, but we'll just see what's schedule. The schedule clashes, sometimes they work out all right, but it just depends when the games are, really.
Yeah. It's the women's game in England is growing quite a rate, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, they're doing really well. The Red Roses in England, they're unbelievably good. They win everything, and it's just skyrocketing. Like how popular the women's rugby game's going. Like we were playing a game, well, not me. England women are playing a game at Twickenham end of April, and it's the first time a women's standalone game has been at Twickenham, and they've sold nearly 50,000 tickets, which is world record. So yeah, obviously going to that would be good fun, but it's definitely on the up. It's going really well.
Yeah, I think women's sport in general has been flying in the last few years. Obviously, with the football, the Lionesses, the women's ice hockey of this country is flying. The youth setups and into the adults as well. Have you ever played hockey?
No. So I get asked this question quite a lot. And I know a few of the women players because I've physioed them and I work alongside one of them. It's like, Jem, come on and play. And I was like, no. I would say that I can run on the ice in my trainers better than I can skate.
Yeah.
So I think I'll leave it at that. But yeah, no, the boys always say to me, why don't you wear skates when you go on? I think, well, I can't stop. So if someone's injured in the middle of the ice, for me to
be your full.
Them. So if they've broken their leg, it's going to really not be good. So I'll stick to my little spikes on my trainers. I can't play. No
that was
chance.
my problem when we come on the ice after the game in December, and I had skates on, and Dan Hitchens said to me, "When are you going to lace them up and have a go?" I was like, "Well, one, I'm pushing 40, and I've got no ligaments in my right knee. If I try and stop, my legs are just going to dislocate, and I'm going to end up in a pile on the floor."
Yeah, no, but I do get asked it quite a lot, but no, if I get broken enough, playing rugby, let alone ice hockey.
Yeah, I did say I didn't quite agree with the way they put it. Actually, I think it's one of the BBC channels that had done some of the local news on. Might well have been on the Chieftains when they came down to training one Thursday night, and they called it rugby on ice. I wasn't too keen on that analogy, actually.
I think maybe just the physical side of it. Maybe that's like the intense and just the big hits.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the reference is. But no, I don't. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It's not.
Which, of course, the women don't have. You can't check in women's ice hockey. But
No.
women's rugby, you go all in, don't you?
Yeah. We just beat the crap out of each other. It's great. Until you're in a boot like me.
Yeah, I'm sure it's such a good thing that you do what you do for a living. I think it will probably prolong your career.
It's a blessing and a curse, because then I'm like paranoid and I know what it is straight away. But I remember also like season I played last season, and everyone would get injured, everyone else would go in the group, and I'd be running on to go in. Even though I'm playing, I'm then running on the pitch to make sure everyone's all right, and I'm not actually getting a bottle of water or anything. I'm helping the injury, and then we go straight back into it. So yeah, it's again like it's great, but then it's also I'd like to have that separation, but it's just you constantly.
I bet you're the first phone call that anyone makes if they've got any sort of ache or pain as well, aren't you?
Oh, constant, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I see the boys Tuesday, Thursday, but I probably talk to most of them every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agony aunt as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, and just they just bitch and moan to me. It's great. I'm like, I love all the gossip and all the drama. It's all good.
I've got a few questions for some of the Chieftains fans and some of the listeners here. And as we spoke earlier, you got away with it a bit with the lads.
Honestly, Rainer texted me and he was like, "You're in trouble." I was like, "Oh no." I'm just dreading it.
I have got one from Rainer. It doesn't make a great deal of sense to me. I'm waiting for your reaction when I say it. So it's but it's got a few from some of the fans. Arista has asked, which player complains the most about you hurting them when you're treating them?
Callum.
Is he the biggest wimp, is he?
As you know, they're all big wimps anyway. So I do something called a glute release, and if anyone knows what it is, it's horrible. I basically stick my elbow in their bum cheeks, and it helps release off the muscles and helps lie back. And just because they're in a skating position, they just build up a lot of tension and tightness in their glutes. And I did it to Callum once, and honestly, he nearly flew into the wall. So I think most of the guys who I do that on, it's never nice.
No, it can. I've had it done to me. A man make a noise that you had no idea a man could make.
Oh, honestly, yeah. I think Callum nearly flew through the wall. I think a few of them, like, yeah, anything. Because I only have like 5-10 minutes to treat them. I don't have like the luxury of like an hour in a private clinic, so I have to just go in hard and like just beat them up basically, just to get the result. And yeah, they always say I'm really mean. I get called a bitch quite a lot, and it's great fun because I can take my anger out.
Of course, yeah, I'm sure it works both ways.
But no, I'm joking. It's yeah, it's never a nice massage. It's always a bit elbows in.
Yeah, I think that is bad. I think the worst one I had was I had my knee sort of brought back up onto my chest and rotated round, and then the thumb up in the back of my ear. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, the sports masseuse that I went to when I was boxing, she used to do Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, and she said I was in the top 5 of people that could take pain. I didn't believe her in the slightest.
Not gonna lie, I always find that women can take it better than men. Just saying. But
I probably agree.
I'm quite mean with the boys. I'm quite brutal, so
I'm sure that's
it's the results.
yeah, it's an occupational up, isn't it? I think rather than a down. Right then, Scott Minard has asked, what's the worst thing you've seen as a physio?
Ooh, what, in ice hockey or generally?
Well, Danny Seagarth has also kind of asked the same of what's the worst injury you've seen. So I'd probably say, yeah, I'd go maybe ice hockey and then everything else.
This season, Leone ruptured his bicep. That was pretty gnarly. I don't know. I feel like I'm just to other people it might sound horrific, but I'm quite immune to it now. To fair,
nothing compound.
Yeah, we have quite a lot. So actually, for the last week, I've been away with working with Saracens on like a residential camp for like under 15 kids. We had a kid yesterday dislocate and fracture his leg. Basically, his knee, his shin just pulled back. We had to relocate his knee, but he's basically snapped 2 bones in his leg. That was pretty nasty. Get the gas and air out, get all of that stuff. Don't know. I get quite a mixture. A lot of the boys, they get cuts on their face, and I glue them up, and you see me running off with them, and they come back 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I think Sasha got glued up on Saturday night, didn't he? I think
Sasha's chin. TJ usually gets it. He's seen TJ's black eye. I put 5 stitches in his chin. I think I did his other eyebrow.
I think it might be time for TJ to go for a cage.
He will never do it. Who else? Ethan was pretty bad. He fractured last year. He got pucked to his cheek and he fractured his cheekbone.
Yeah, Ethan was on a couple of weeks ago telling us about that.
Yeah, and then it was really spooky actually. Year to the day, he did it in Victor and he got a puck to the face and had to glue that, but it was about a centimetre up from when he did it last time and it was a year to the day. So that was quite spooky.
Wow.
And obviously Grant's leg was pretty bad.
That was in Victor last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like an open fracture or anything, but yeah, that was difficult. Also because I tell him off, but he didn't wear his boot. And then 6 weeks later, the fracture was actually really worse than it was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else really. I mean, a lot of the guys just get a lot of bumps and bruises, and they're kind of like niggles that just last a long time rather than anything majorly dramatic.
Yeah, it's that sort of sport though, isn't it? It's going to get bumps and bruises.
Yeah, I mean, you get those sort of freak accidents, but
I'll go away slightly actually, just because of what we're talking about. Is there any sort of concussion protocols that you have to follow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are they set by the EIHA?
I don't know. I usually follow the rugby one, but there's it's just a concussion protocol created by doctors for it's a generic one, even in sport and out of sport. There's a protocol called SCAT5. I can't remember what the actual acronym for, but you basically follow a protocol and it asks questions and it's a symptom evaluation. You do cognitive testing, memory loss, and it basically helps you determine how severe a concussion is. So you do that initially, just to determine how severe it is, and it depends on your age. So if you're under 18, this is I'm going to get it wrong, 23 days of doing nothing, not even running for the bus, not running up the stairs, nothing. And then it's a specific return to play protocol. But for an over 18, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks of doing nothing, and then a graduated return to play.
Yeah.
It just depends on. I usually go off by a symptom evaluation, so I'll do that same test probably about 3 or 4 times in that 2 weeks space, just to manage symptoms, because often the symptoms will actually get worse before they get better. They kind of rate them. They've got a list of symptoms. They rate them between 0 and 6. Obviously 6 being really severe, and I can just manage how they're recovering. Then we had Darren Brown last year. He had a really serious concussion. Didn't actually think it was a concussion at the time, and he was very ill from it. Usually it's about recovery, but he took about 6 weeks.
Anyone who's not had it, it's not a nice one. It's
not nice, and some people even just getting a slight knock to. You don't even have to get a direct hit to the head.
No.
And then any kind of whiplash can trigger a concussion. And the boys would take the mick out of me. I think we had quite a lot of concussions. Last touch wood, I think we've only had one this year. There were quite a lot last year, and because I was constantly getting a concussion test out, they're like, "Oh, Jemma, I've hurt my ankle. Do you need me to do a concussion test?" And they were taking the piss a little bit. But no, that's the one thing I'm really strict on is concussions.
Yeah, and as you should be. I mean, it's seen at the moment in rugby and in football where they're having the temporary change or a permanent change, because it's really not worth it. I mean, obviously my sporting background's in boxing, and fortunately they're not touching that at the moment. It's I dread the day when they come and say that's it, no one's allowed to spar. It's
but that's it. I know they are, because I used to work in boxing as well, so knowing like if someone has got a concussion, it is managed better. But I think there's still a long way to go with it. But no, there's like history of you get secondary concussion syndrome and game over. It's very high risk of brain injury or even death. So that's why I do take it very seriously. And the boys are good, but they like to take the piss about it as well. As they do.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's just a group of lads. It must be half fun and half a nightmare for you.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, they make me want to quit every week, but I said that the last 3 years and I'm still here. So.
Yeah. Anne Scatland has asked, what's your favourite thing to patch up?
Oh, it has to be some glue.
Yeah, a little bit of glue.
Stitching's a little bit difficult, because when I get adrenaline, so my hands shake.
Yeah.
Trying to stick a needle in someone's face is never great when I've got really shaky hands. So I love a bit of glue. I don't know, any kind of, I quite like taping. It's quite anything really. Yeah, probably glue in someone's face.
They're quite satisfying. You can sort of see the little cut, you glue it up, you get them back on. That's a good job well done.
They always again, the boys take the piss at me, as they do all the time. But if someone's cut, I like to take a photo of it first, and then so I can show like a before and after.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Just glue it. I want to get back on. Like, no, let me take a picture of it first. So my camera roll is just full of cuts and bruises and X-rays, broken bones and all of that. So yeah.
Excellent stuff. I thought I could do these in a slightly different order actually and keep all the players ones together. Ollie Bennett has asked, what's the funniest moment that you've had with the Chieftains?
God. I don't know really. I mean, the changing rooms are a good laugh. Like, this season's been a really good crack. Like, everyone's gotten really well. We've had a lot of court sessions and like kangaroo court and stuff. And I can't think of anything kind of specific, but you always just end up belly laughing and like, yeah, I think just being around the boys and just the changing room banter is not truly.
Have you ever stacked it on the ice?
Once, and that was Bear's fault. I think it was a couple of years ago. We were in Slough and we'd lost, and Sonny had smashed his stick over the goal and left it there. So and I didn't have my spikes on my shoes at the time. I've only had them for like 2 years. Yeah. And I'd gone on the ice to go and pick up the stick after the game, and Bear had pulled the water out from the water bottles on the ice.
Yeah.
As I walked back, I fell flat on my ass. But luckily, as everyone was kind of leaving, so not everyone.
Not many people saw it.
Yeah. I think that's the only time I've stacked it. I'm usually quite good. I'm trying to have to slow down. It's quite hard, but
yeah, there's someone normally gives you like an arm as well, don't they? On the way out there.
I can actually run faster than they can skate. Like proper going for it.
Paul Whitby has said he understands that you got a new massage gun from Santa, and have you had much of a reason or an opportunity to use it yet?
I knew this was gonna come up. Okay, right. How do I explain this? So my Secret Santa present was a massage gun with an adult toy attached to it.
This is probably going to allude to Raina's question about the pink massage gun.
Yes. So yeah, I knew this was going to come up. Obviously, there's young listeners on, so I'm not going to go into.
We can let older people's imaginations run wild.
Yeah. So there was an adult toy attached to the said massage gun, which was bright pink. I think glow in the dark pink.
Why would it need to glow in the dark?
I don't know. And I can tell you who gave it to me, and it was TJ. So you can blame TJ.
There's no surprises there.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was probably the funniest moment, actually. I opened it up, and it was just hilarious. But that said adult toy is in the changing room. It's not mine at home. The boys actually use the gun themselves, not with the toy on the end, but that gets thrown around the changing room.
Is it an official attachment for it then?
No, TJ made it. He made it himself.
He got creative with it.
Yeah. So obviously you get little endings on the massage gun anyway, but he'd cut the other toy to make it fit on there.
The next time TJ comes on, we're going to find out whether he did it all on Amazon or he went to Sports Direct and then he went to Ann Summers, or what way round he did it.
No, you know what? It was his mum and dad that helped him cut the hole in it, and he was saying that his mum was like, "Are you sure you should be giving this to Jemma?" Yeah. He'll say it wasn't his idea, but it was.
Excellent stuff. Right, that's all the questions that we've got for you. Like I said, you've kind of got away with it then. I was expecting some really bad stuff to come in.
So did I. I'm quite lucky.
But I think maybe now the season's finished, a little bit of slowing down. Some of the lads may have missed it and not seen that it was there.
Is that because if they're mean to me, then I'm mean to them back. So
well, this is what I said to Kieran when he messaged me that. I was like, she can hurt you, right?
Yeah. So I was like, if you're mean to me, I'll just beat you up. So.
Excellent. Well, Jemma Pemberton, thank you so much for joining me. Literally, when I first started this, you were one of the first people that everyone said to me I had to get you on.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, well, so I've waited this long because I wanted it to build up.
Oh, nice.
And now we've got through all the lads on the roster, and so hopefully we'll, as the year goes on next year, any new players and any new people on the staff can come on, and I just hope that the guys in the team enjoy coming on as much as we enjoy having them on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all loved it. So
lovely, Jemma. Thank you very much. Right. Enjoy the rest of your summer. If you're not in a boot or hobbling around anywhere.
No, touch wood, I'm not. I'll be all right.
And we'll see you back on ice in September.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.